let's get into this, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Thursday night live stream after a very boring game between the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots. I was looking at it just right before the stream started, and I believe there were only two players that actually surpassed their quote-unquote projected, which was James Cook and Stephon Diggs. I think that was pretty much it. Everybody else was an underwhelming performance tonight, and it was definitely apparent based on the fact that the New England Patriots really couldn't move the ball. I would have thought they would have been significantly better in terms of running the ball, but obviously it is what it is. We're going to take the results and try to work upon it, try to set ourselves up for success for the remaining part of this week. I want to welcome you guys for joining us. If you have not yet already, be sure to click the like button. The entire point of a live stream like this after the Thursday night game is just purely answering questions. So if you have a question, be sure to type it in the chat. I'm going to get to those as soon as I can. If you guys send in a super chat question, please make sure to include your scoring format. I mean, any questions you send in, make sure to include your scoring format. It'd be greatly appreciated. I think I got to do, because I actually just forgot to do it in general, is this exactly. So let me go ahead and set this up. Earlier today, I did post a video in regards to rest of season strength of schedule, specifically for the fantasy playoffs. So that includes weeks 15, 16, and 17. I think if anybody who is in the chat right now is in a position to potentially make your fantasy playoffs, probably a good good position to go ahead and attempt to watch that video, listen to it like a podcast, and just let the information roll over. Okay, that's a little too big. All right, we're just gonna put this in the bottom corner. So that's the video that I made earlier today. Be sure to check that out. Thank you very much. Outside of that, we're going to go ahead, pop open the YouTube chat like we typically do, and just start answering questions right off the bat. Ando says, Lamar or Fields this week? As of right now, with Fields having practiced fully this week, I'm already back on the field train. We're good to go there. Goff, Kirk, or Watson? Says Brandon. Considering we didn't have a quarterback and or defensive rankings video earlier today, I will give you a little bit of insight as to where I'm going with those three. I am currently in a position to where I have Watson ranked the highest amongst the three. I'm not in love with Kirk Cousins going up against the Jets. He's not out of the top half of the conversation. Goff is actually not even that bad either. I kind of want to risk it to an extent with Watson. But the smarter thing to do, Brandon, would most likely just play Kirk Cousins and just play your stud in that regard. You know what I mean? Hey Andrew, how you doing? Would you start Fields, Watson, or Geno Smith this week with no Donald? Yeah, I would play Fields if he's active. If he's active, which he should be based on everything we're looking at in terms of practice schedule, he should be active against the Green Bay Packers. We just saw Jalen Hurts run for 150 plus rushing yards against that defense. Imagine what Justin Fields would be capable of doing against that defense this week. Peace Dog says, pick two, Walker, Mixon, Monty. At this moment, I would definitely play Mixon and Monty. With Fields coming back, it just opens up the offense that much more to be potentially more threatening in comparison to having to play Nathan Peterman as their quarterback, because we know that Trevor Siemian's obviously dealing with his injury. Walker's a fantastic player. It's just, man, it has been tough as of late. I guess technically what you would want to do is play your quote-unquote studs, which would be Walker and Mixon, but quite frankly, I think Monty deserves a little bit of credit there. Based on what he's been able to accomplish in the last couple weeks without Khalil Herbert. So that's quite I'm kind of leaning in that direction. I think he'll get himself probably into the end zone, especially in an advantageous matchup as such going up against Green Bay. Standard Debo or Christian Watson? I'll take Christian Watson. Significantly higher touchdown potential upside. And when we're talking about standard league, we're talking about big yardage plays. Christian Watson certainly there, especially considering Debo's obviously still dealing with an injury. DK or Pollard this week in a full PPR. I'll take DK there. I'll take DK Metcalf. Let me scroll to the bottom of this chat. Kirk Montgomery full PPR. Christian Kirk or David Montgomery? Christian Kirk, Jacksonville. I'm fairly certain it would probably. I'm hoping that Christian Kirk's going to be the more valuable prospect in this given week, right? That's the hope, right? The expectation is that he'll have himself a pretty high volume of receptions against the Detroit Lions, based on what Detroit has given up to opposing slot wide receivers. So as of right now in a full PPR, yes, I would take Christian Kirk. I'm hoping that he can pull through for this. Kenneth says Deshaun Watson or Geno. Currently, I have Geno ahead of him in my rankings. We'll go ahead and talk about that in just a moment. I did see that someone sent in a super chat. Let me go ahead and address that really quickly. Michael Barton, thank you very much. I appreciate you sending those in. Says, Flex 1, we have White, Pacheco, Zay Jones, and Zonovan Knight. This is for a full PPR league, and then we also have Ingram or Conklin this week. Okay, so of the available players you mentioned, I currently have Conklin ahead of Evan Ingram in a full PPR. As for the four players that you mentioned in specific, we're most likely leaning in the direction of playing Zay Jones. That's kind of the track that I'm on in comparison to White, Pacheco, and Knight. Mainly because, when I look at Rachaad White with Leonard Fournette getting an entire full participation of practice today, again, it's a toss-up. It's one of those weeks where I might not want to play Rachaad White unless I have to, so he moves down my rankings. Pacheco, again, is not a PPR guy, and quite frankly, he's not going to always be able to score touchdowns. We're just coming off of a week in which, the Cincinnati Bengals completely shut down Derrick Henry. They're able to do so because there isn't much of a passing game from Ryan Tannehill, but still, that run-stopping defense is definitely made themselves known. So, in comparison to the Zonovan White, those kind of potential options, I'll just take the receiving upside that a player like Zay Jones presents in the matchup up against the Detroit Lions this week. Let's see here. Anthony Cervantes sent in a question, but there wasn't anything attached to Anthony. Let me see if you typed in the chat earlier. There's nothing else from you, Anthony. If you could do me a favor, just type in the chat. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Okay, so Michael, we got you. You're good to go. Thank you. I appreciate that. There was actually another question you just sent in saying starting lineup is Mahomes, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne. What does it say? I have Ingram. Okay, I have Evan Ingram and Rachaad White. Should I change anyone? Yeah, I would. I'm leaning towards in a full PPR, rolling with a Zay Jones there in the flex and playing Conklin over Evan Ingram. Thank you. La la la. The words are not always flowing over one another. Sips said Allen screwed me. I mean, yeah, I think literally everyone except for James Cook and Stephon Diggs was above their projected fan. Actually, maybe Devin Singletary because he found the end zone. So those three options were the only three options that I can clearly see that surpassed their overall potential baseline projections, which is ridiculous, right? But now that I'm thinking about it, we have to remember that this team specifically, both these teams actually, have played 3 football games in less than 21 days? Like they've definitely had themselves a packed schedule here, which makes sense. But honestly, I would have expected more sloppy football as a result, rather than, defenses completely clamping up and not allowing anything to take place, especially in that second half. Thoughts on Swift being off the injury report? You know what, to be totally honest, he's kind of been on that trend of not being on the injury report even last week. So I don't really think this gives him much of a boost. It's a matter of okay, great, he's off the injury report, but are the coaches going to change their game plan because of it? It doesn't seem like it's been that way in weeks past. So I'm probably leaning towards the idea that sure, he may get a couple more touches here or there, but I don't think that they want to use him as a first and second down running back, and they certainly don't want to use him as the goal line guy at a premium capacity. So unfortunately, it just kind of leaves us in limbo with Swift, which leans me towards potentially just not playing him over a lot of other potential prospects going into the given week. Everett or Foster this week? I'll take Foster Moreau there, Isaiah. Chris says, hey, man, I need a running back and a flex option. Okay, we have Jamal Williams, Swift, Sanders, Rachaad White, Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson in a full PPR. At this moment, in a full PPR, I'll take Garrett Wilson as your flex option. As for your starting running back option, I'm probably going Jamal Williams. Just too much upside within that. That's what I would do. RB Jamal Williams, flex Garrett Wilson. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see here. RBs are Mixon, Henry, Kenneth Walker. My wide receivers are T. Higgins, AJ Brown, and Christian Watson. Who do I sit this week if I am? Oh, goodness gracious, huh? So we have to start T. Higgins and AJ Brown. We have to start Joe Mixon and Derrick Henry. So it's between Kenneth Walker and Christian Watson. Ooh. Conventional wisdom would tell me to just play the running back. Take the points from Kenneth Walker and hope for the best. If it's a full PPR, yeah, even in a full PPR, no, I think I'm just going to lean towards Kenneth Walker there as of right now. Yep, Sarah, thank you. Born to Drum says, love the channel, Andrew. Keep up the great work. I appreciate that. Should I start Tua, Fields, or Lamar this week? Okay, of the three, I have it ranked Fields number 1, Lamar number 2, Tua number 3 in this given week. Pat Fryermuth or Dalton Schultz this week. I'll play Dalton Schultz every single week for the rest of the season over Pat Fryermuth. So that should give you a little bit of an indication as to how much I like him. Thank you. We saw a couple more super chats come in here really quickly. Want to make sure that I get to Anthony's question. Anthony, where's your question, my man? Anthony says, okay, so I've got Hurts, Eckler, Henry, Schultz, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Godwin, Keenan Allen, Lockett. Okay, so you got a pretty stacked team. I mean, to say the very least, right? Pick 3 wide receivers. And how do you feel about my team? I mean, yeah, first of all, you don't even have to ask me. I can just look at your team and know that you're stacked across the board. In any scenario where your wide receivers are that talented of a group, it's going to be tough for you to be beaten. But it's also going to be one of those scenarios where you're blessed with so much talent on your team that it makes it that much more difficult on a weekly basis to make decisions. That being said, this week, I think it's relatively easy. I want to play Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, and Godwin exclusively, no questions asked. Probably Keenan Allen and Lockett both go for double-digit points on your bench, but you know that the players you have in your starting lineup are just, they're studs. And they get that much more of a target volume. They get that much more potential receiving yards. So you're good to go there, Anthony. Thank you. I appreciate it. Corey Olson said, hello, friend. On a 3-game skid here, is there, okay, with a 3-way tie in my division, I have Lamar and Watson. Who has more upside? Yeah, I think without a doubt, Corey Olson. First of all, thank you for the super chat. I greatly appreciate that. First of all, I'd like to say, as good as Watson was at quarterback back in 2020, it's been a while since we've seen him play. It is going to be a very bumpy kind of transition right back into it. Now, he's definitely been practicing and getting first-team reps in some capacities, obviously not in full capacities, over the course of the last couple weeks here. But I would much rather play Lamar Jackson, without a doubt in my mind. Coming off of his best week since week 3, it's looking like we're in a position where he's absolutely going to play well. Isaiah Sanders says, top defense and kickers, please. Yeah, we'll get there in a moment. We'll get there. I know you guys are always asking about kickers and defense. We'll get there in a second. Real G Squared sent in a super chat. Let me go ahead and see here. Real, where you at, Real? All right, well, there's the super chat. No question. All right, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, well, considering you have no question, let's see if anybody around that statement had a question. ETN or Pierce in the flex this week? Half PPR. Sam, considering ETN is practicing full and is expected to be the full-time back this week, which, again, when you're healthy, that is the case. We're going to go with ETN over Damian Pierce. Thank you. Guy Marlowe sent in a question, said Kirk Cousins or Tua this week. I'll go with Tua. Obviously, the absence of Teron Armstead could make a huge difference. We're going to have to keep that monitored. Because if if the left side, the left tackle specifically is falling apart because Nick Bosa is really getting after it, it could be tough. Constantino says pick 1 PPR, Jamal, Rashad, Pacheco, Cordero, Latavius, or Warren. Yeah, as of this moment, I think there's just a little bit there's just far more safety just playing Jamal Williams over the rest of that gang. Thank you, appreciate it. We had Joseph Romero sent in a super chat. Thank you. Says half PPR. Let's see. We need 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 singular flex. The available options are Olave, Watson, Zay Jones, Aaron Jones, Kamara, Rashad White, Leonard Fournette, and Jeff Wilson Jr. Okay, so 2 running backs that I'm thinking as of this moment of the week that I'm going to be playing. For sure, I want to play Aaron Jones. That is undoubted. Now, as for the following option, I'm probably in a position... Unfortunately, we're probably in a position where I don't want to play Jeff Wilson Jr. up against that team. I think it's a really difficult matchup, and if their starting left tackle is out, could make it an even more difficult, scenario there. Rashad White, Leonard Fournette, that's kind of a coin toss as to who's going to be the better play. So I think I just play Kamara alongside Aaron Jones there, and then I roll with Watson and I roll with probably Watson and Olave at wide receiver, and then I might throw Zay Jones into the flex there. That's kind of what I'm thinking. As much as the running back talent you have, you know what you could technically do, Joseph? You could play Aaron Jones, Rashad White, and Leonard Fournette, and then just roll with Watson Olave at your wide receiver position, which now I'm thinking isn't really the worst idea up against the New Orleans Saints. But I got to think about that. That's a tough one, Joseph. But you know what? What I'll go ahead and do, Joseph, I'm going to store that in my head, and we'll get back to that as this stream goes on, because that is tough, man. Having to decide between Rashad White and Fournette is going to be impossible. So you either start them both or you start neither. Johnny Coffey says Deshaun Watson, Dak, or Tua. Dak is the foremost ranked player out of those three. Jamal Williams or Jeff Wilson. Certainly I'm going Jamal Williams over Jeff Wilson. The San Francisco 49ers defense is just, they're really just too good. Let's see here. Corey Olson says, unfortunately, I have to play against Travis Kelce this week. What are your thoughts on the matchup? Also have Jalen Hurts, and also has Jalen Hurts. I mean, at this point, Corey, I think you're fine. I know you're on a little bit of a skid, but playing Lamar Jackson is definitely the better potential option there. You don't want to go for the high risk because I don't know if the high reward is technically going to be there with Deshaun Watson in the given week. Thank you. Okay, so we saw Jordy Peasy. Let me see here, Jordy. Where you at? Jordy says, my running backs are Dalvin, Kenny, Walker, Gus, Mike Carr, okay, Latavius. My wide receivers are Amon-Ra, Devonta Smith, and should I trade Latavius Murray for Olave? Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, at this point, Dalvin, Kenny Walker, yeah, I don't mind it. Let's do it. Again, I think the last 2 weeks that Latavius Murray had are going to be probably his potential upside on a given weekly basis. Anything that he does henceforth could get to that level, but is unlikely to reach that on a consistent enough basis to where we can hold him and trust him every single week based on the offense that he's associated with. So I think it's a really good time to potentially sell high on that Latavius Murray bump that he's got, back-to-back weeks of double-digit points. Let's see here. My opponent has Lamar Jackson. Do you think it's safe in terms of scoring more than Josh Allen? Depends what your scoring format is. What did Josh Allen do today in terms of a 4-point per passing touchdown league? Let's go see. So if we go to week 13 and we go to quarterbacks here, let's go to standard scoring format. Yeah, it is safe to say that Josh Allen will be outscored by Lamar Jackson this week. That is actually, he put up 16.92 fantasy points. Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet there. Sean says, half PPR, pick one, Jeff Wilson, Swift, Latavius Murray, Rachaad White. Out of the group, I mean, I'm not interested in any of that. To be honest, I think I might just, I think I might have to just play Rachaad White there and hope. Because I don't like the matchup here at all. I don't like the, instability of touches there. And Latavius Murray is in a bit of a rough spot taking on Baltimore's defense of all the defenses that he possibly could take on this week. Robbie says, hey, Andrew, Kyler on bye. Do I start Carr or Jimmy G this week? I'll take Carr. Far more, the consistency at which Carr is playing at this current moment in time. And then we have a situation where he takes on the Chargers. If I'm not mistaken, let's go ahead and pull this up. Let's see Derek Carr's history against the Los Angeles Chargers over the last couple matchups that they've had. So in the last 3 games that he's played against them, 2021 and earlier this season, 2022, he is in every single one of those games thrown for 2 passing touchdowns, been able to get above 190 passing yards. We're in a position here where, again, if you want just straight consistency, probably is the best bet there. I'll take the Derek Carr conversation or part of that, deal. Now, the only thing that I would worry about is if, in fact, we actually do have a limited or missing Josh Jacobs, we're pivoting off it. We'll just take, Jimmy G's potential. Evans, Pacheco, or Treylon Burks in the flex this week. Okay, so Evans is 100% contingent on whether or not we see Marshawn Lattimore play. If Marshawn Lattimore is active, we are going to avoid playing Evans in all sort of capacities. So let's assume he is playing, right? Then it would be Pacheco or Treylon Burks. I'd rather just play Pacheco there at that point. Treylon Burks has himself a good matchup. Fantastic. We love it, but he's not going to be always, rolling upon touchdowns every single week. He can definitely be a 10-point play, but I think Pacheco is at a base floor in that production level, if not higher, because of the goal line role that he has within this offense as of right now. So yeah, I'll take Pacheco as right now out of that group. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Who did we need? Okay, we need Troy's question. Troy, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Where art thou, Troy? Okay, half PPR. Should I play Fields, Tua, or Watson? I'll take Fields there this week. Also, pick 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs in a flex this week. We have Pittman, Debo, Sutton, Palmer, Zay, Jacobs, Barkley, Kamara. Okay, so under the assumption that everyone's healthy, right? I would like to play Josh Jacobs, of course, as the RB1. I'd follow that up with playing Barkley as the RB2. As for your flex, okay. Let's before we even get to flex, if we're talking about wide receiver, if Deebo Samuel gets a full practice by Friday, great, fantastic. We'll throw him in there, and then we'll follow that up with probably playing Josh Palmer next to him, and then lastly, probably throwing. What's the scoring format in this league? I think it's half PPR. In a half PPR, I'd probably throw Kamara into that flex. So it'd be Barkley, Jacobs, Kamara, Deebo with Josh Palmer. Now, if in fact we're dealing with injuries and Deebo's out, next man up at wide receiver, I would probably lean towards, Michael Pittman Jr. And then even if, let's say, for example, Jacobs ends up missing, then you put Barkley and Kamara as the 1-2, play Palmer with Pittman, and then play Zay at the flex. Okay, so there's a lot of moving pieces here this week in regards to what you can do with your roster, but that's mainly contingent on Deebo, his health, Jacobs, his health, right? And those are the two biggest factors in terms of what your potential success can look like based on their availability and or potential upside in the given week. Johnson or Kmet this week, yeah, under the assumption that we do see Fields active, which is my expectation, I'm playing Kmet this week over Juwan Johnson. Thank you. My opponent has Lamar. Do you think I have I'm safe? Yeah, we already did that question. We're good to go there. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead. Let me see if I've caught up. Okay, I haven't caught up. Let me just filter all the way to the bottom here. Okay, let's see here. Fields if he starts, or roll with Dak. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that. I would play with Fields. Fields is the guy that I would much rather have on roster. Again, the rushing potential that he has in a given week is so much upside that by itself, he could probably score 16 fantasy points in terms of rushing. And then the rest of the work that he does through the air with his arm is just, bonus content on top of it. Seattle Hockey says, I traded Tua away to get Hollywood Brown and Dak. It's not that you did. Do I trade Tua away to get Hollywood Brown and Dak if I already have Herbert? You don't need Dak, right? So if you can get something else in exchange, sure. Otherwise, I guess you could play matchups with Dak and Herbert. But at this moment, I don't mind this switch, considering I'm not too big of a fan of Tua's fantasy playoff schedule. I think that they're not it's week 15 to begin with. He takes on Buffalo. It's not the easiest potential week on hand. So I would look to try to, I don't mind the pivot here, picking up Marquise Hollywood Brown and Dak. So obviously I'd look to try to get something else except for Dak, but I guess this is an insurance policy in case something ever happens to Herbert, right? Choose one, Jamar Chase or Christian McCaffrey this week, flex, full PPR. That's a loaded question. I think as of this moment, I would probably play Christian McCaffrey. He had a full log. I think he had a full log practice today. Maybe he didn't. Again, if Christian McCaffrey's not healthy, that gives us our answer, right? If Christian McCaffrey by tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon has a full log practice, I'll take him over Jamar Chase this week. Because I still think that Jamar Chase is going to play. I just don't know how much he's going to play. I don't know if he's going to play his 100% of snaps or if he'll be like a 60-70% guy in this given week where he's taking series off and they're keeping him, relatively, I guess not completely out of control because they don't want to re-injure. They don't want to overexert him right off the bat. But I'm sure they've limit tested him. But yeah, I'll take McCaffrey if in fact we're in a situation where he practices fully tomorrow. Gus Edwards or Josh Palmer. If Mike Williams is out, I'll take Josh Palmer there. Drop Everett for Burks. Yeah, why not? If you don't need Everett as a tight end, I'd much rather have Treylon Burks for the long haul, the remainder of the season. All right, we had a couple super chats come in. Just want to get to them really quickly. We had Tony Telford says, "Hey Andrew, hope the night is well." For as bad as that game was, I guess this is as good as I'll be. But thank you, I appreciate it. I need 2 wide receivers, 1 running back, and 1 flex in a full PPR this week. We have J-Jet, we have CeeDee Lamb, we have Godwin, Pollard, Montgomery. Who is sitting this week? 2 wide receivers. Okay, obviously CeeDee Lamb and J-Jet are playing, right? So that's a given. And then you need 1 running back. I'd play Montgomery, and I would play Godwin at the flex. I'm sitting Pollard. Thank you. Appreciate it. JK says, full PPR. Start 2, Brian Robinson, ETN, Kamara, Pollard. I will play Brian Robinson and ETN. Thank you. Now, that's under the assumption, because I'm coming to, I'm jumping to a conclusion here. That's under the assumption that we do not see Antonio Gibson play this week. Antonio Gibson did not practice earlier today. Had a foot injury. If he doesn't play, Brian Robinson, ETN. Otherwise, we'll then pivot Brian Robinson to Pollard, and we'll play Pollard and ETN. Thank you. Garrett Richardson sends in a question. Says, I'm 8-4 currently in a 10-team league in a half PPR scoring format. Rate this potential trade that I got JJ, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Pickens for Fields, Sutton, Zeke, Mixon, White, Olave. Wait, I'm sorry. Is that actually the trade? Like you're sending like what is happening here? Is a full team? JJ, Amon-Ra, Pickens for Fields, Sutton, Zeke, Mixon, White, and Olave. I have Kelsey, Barkley, Burrow, Pacheco, Gabe Davis. So we want to send away technically. Okay, so which part of this? What are you bringing in? That's I think my primary question. Because are you set? Because when you say JJ, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Pickens for XYZ, that for XYZ is typically what you're bringing back in. But I don't think this is what you're inferring, right? You're saying that you're going to get back JJ and Amon-Ra, St. Brown in this deal, correct? Just want to confirm that, Garrett. If you could do me a favor and confirm that in the chat, be greatly appreciated. Okay, we're going to get to some of these more questions. Before we get to Garrett's confirmation, Michael Barton says, how are you feeling about Josh Jacobs playing? Josh Jacobs is going to play this week. As to how much we're going to worry about it, we're going to worry about it a lot, but I think he'll play. Heartline says, do I start Debo or Christian Watson PPR? I'll play Christian Watson there. Thank you. Jesus sends in a question, says full PPR, Garrett Wilson or Keenan Allen. I'll play Garrett Wilson there. Thank you. Charles R sends in a question, says half PPR Superflex. Do I drop? Okay, who do I drop for Njoku? Foreman, TJ Hawkinson, Zeke, Ayuk, Pittman, Dak, Kyler. I have. Wait, what? Who to drop for Njoku? I would drop nobody for Njoku. You have TJ Hawkinson. You should play TJ Hawkinson for the remainder of the season outright. I don't want to drop any of those other players in exchange for Njoku, who didn't practice each of the last 2 days and could still be injured. So I honestly, Charles, would suggest you keep the guys you have on roster. I'd much rather have Foreman, Hawkinson, Zeke, Ayuk, Pittman, Dak, Kyler remainder, especially in a half PPR super flex league. You need that quarterback depth. You don't want to drop anybody in that case. So yeah, I wouldn't make the swap there. Thank you. Brandon Frederick says full PPR, trade away Christian McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Jeff Wilson for Kenneth Walker, Pollard, and Godwin. Christian McCaffrey, Ayuk, Jeff Wilson for Kenneth Walker, Pollard. Goodness gracious. What an interesting question. I'm leaning towards potentially saying yes. Yeah, I mean, okay, let me think about this. In the remainder of the season, let's go look at these schedules really quickly. What do we have here? Because I want Godwin in all sorts of capacities that I can get him in. It's just going to be a matter of whether you can get him on roster. Now, if you have to give up Christian McCaffrey and Jeff Wilson Jr. in doing so, McCaffrey there, okay, that's not a bad schedule upcoming. Kenneth Walker is the biggest concern because, again, he has to take on San Francisco, Kansas City, and the New York Jets. He could probably survive against those two later matchups, but Week 15 is going to be an absolute mess for him. So I'm probably in a position where I'm thinking, yeah, man, that's actually a tough one. I think I'm leaning towards no. Let me see Miami's schedule. Miami takes Yeah, I'm actually kind of leaning towards no. I think I'd rather just keep the guys you have on roster. McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Jeff Wilson. Remainder there, Brandon. Thank you. Who else were we waiting on? We were waiting on Garrett Richardson. Let me go ahead and let me see if I can find your question in the chat, my man. For those of you who are just joining us, first and foremost, I appreciate you guys coming by. As of right now, I'm just addressing some of the super chats that were sent in. Is Khalil Herbert's season ending? No, it's not season ending. He's on the IR. He'll be back. Lamar or Jimmy G? I'll take Lamar this week. So just going ahead and addressing some of these super chat questions. So just want to get those out of the way, and then we can get back into the chat and good to go. Garrett Richardson says also Hollywood and Chase. Also have Hollywood and Chase. I'm confused about. Okay, let me confirm this. Yeah, so if you're bringing, okay, so if you have Hollywood and Chase, and you're bringing in JJ, Amon-Ra, Pickens, you have Barkley, Burrow, Pacheco, Davis, you're sending away that low. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I know you're giving up a lot of players, but you're getting back a sizable enough, haul of talent to where you'll survive and you'll probably be better for it. So yeah, I'll take the deal. I'll take that. Garrett, thank you. Allen was disappointing tonight. He was beyond disappointing. He was absolutely miserable in terms of fantasy purposes. 16 fantasy points from Josh Allen is as bad of a week as I've seen him play in quite some time. Like literally quite some time. It's been a while since he's put up that low of overall, given production. Like the Jeans sent in a super chat, says Fields or Watson this week. I'll take Fields. Swift, Knight, White, and or Jeff Wilson Jr. sit one. If I'm sitting one out of that group, I'm most likely kind of leaning in the direction of sitting Rachaad White this week. I'd rather play the other. I don't know, man. At this point, yeah, I'd probably sit Rachaad White until I can see what exactly is a guarantee out of that backfield. Thank you. Heartline says, you missed my super with Debo and... No, I didn't miss it. I think we're fine. I had answered it. We're good. I think you were just kind of surprised at how delayed my overall stream was in getting to your question. But yeah, we'll take Watson there over Debo. Thank you. Dennis sends in a question, says full PPR flex. Lockett, Keenan Allen, or Christian Watson this week. In a full PPR at the flex, I will most likely still be playing Christian Watson this week. As much as I love Keenan Allen and Tyler Lockett, I think there is just as much upside in a Christian Watson. I think I'm crazy for doing it, but that's just the kind of fantasy that I like to play. Second best option is probably Keenan Allen there and then Lockett. But again, they're both guys that are coming off of a week of a touchdown. They both have a lot of upside, especially in terms of the receiving game. So there's no wrong answer there. I just think I'd rather go for the higher upside player with Watson. Corey also says full PPR lineups are Lamar, Henry, Etienne, Lamb, Waddle, Moreau, Lockett. Cowboys, we have Myers. My opponent has Hurts, Elliott, Latavius Murray, St. Brown. I mean, I think you're in a pretty good position. When you have Henry, Etienne, Lamb, Waddle, and Lockett, Moreau has been on a couple good weeks here, and the Chargers defense isn't the greatest in terms of stopping opposing tight ends. I think you're in a pretty good spot there. As for his team, I mean, the biggest difference makers on his team are Christian Kirk. That's the X factor, and Amari Cooper. If Christian Kirk and Amari Cooper go off this week, as they're expected to do, then you're going to be in trouble, right? Because those are the guys who can very easily, show up one week, put up 7 points, and then the other put up 27, right? So that's the biggest question. And in your specific case, luckily Deshaun Watson's returning because it may not immediately lead to success for Amari Cooper. So outside of that, you just have to bottle up Christian Kirk and at least have Waddle put up similar numbers, and then you'll be fine. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate that. Eric sent in a question, says Gus Edwards or Brian Robinson this week in a full PPR. I'll take Brian Robinson. Thank you. Kyle Strobel says, why is Mac Jones so bad? Can I trust Stevenson rest of season? You can trust Stevenson rest of season. It's not about Mac Jones being bad. It's about the offensive coordinators not knowing what they're doing. Omar Rios says, would you drop Moreau, Mostert, or Fournette to pick up Tyler Boyd, Donovan Peoples-Jones, DeAndre Carter, Kieran Williams, or Jalen Warren? If you have another tight end on roster, I would not mind dropping Moreau in order to pick up Donovan Peoples-Jones for the remainder of the season. But that's under the assumption that you have a stable other tight end on roster. Thank you. Witcher sends in a question, says, give St. Brown and Andrews for Henry in a 1-point PPR. It depends on what you have on roster. Like if this is a smaller league and you can get away with giving both those players, then sure. But otherwise, I don't know if that's actually going to help you in the long run. The assumption is that Henry in the fantasy push is going to be a 30-point player. But I think, yeah, Witcher, if you can give me more context, just type in the chat if you could as to what the rest of your roster looks like. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Cinco2X says, how many? Have a few questions here. Drop Drake London for Jalen Warren. Sure. I mean, again, if you're a Najee Harris manager and or are looking to potentially fill in the void of whoever's going to fill in that running back position against Atlanta this week, Jalen Warren would be the expected starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers if healthy and nothing kind of sets him back this week. Pickens, Palmer, or pick up Warren and flex him. And then if we pick up Warren, which we will, are we going to flex him over those other two in a full PPR? It depends on what Benny Snell is looking like. Benny Snell is currently dealing with a knee injury. If he is inactive for Sunday and so is Najee Harris, I'd play Warren out of the bunch. Otherwise, I'm going to roll with probably playing Pickens against Atlanta. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead. Let's see here. Back to the chat. Okay, we're going to answer a couple more chat questions. I did see these two. Okay, Jorge, really quickly. Let's see here. Full PPR. Is Brady a good start? I have him as my number 16 ranked quarterback as of this current moment in time. I can pick up another quarterback like Lawrence. Yes, I'd rather play Lawrence over him. Pickett, Mariota, Jimmy. I'd rather have Jimmy over him. So yeah, Lawrence is the highest ranked out of this group, including Brady for this week. Need 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers in a flex. I have Mixon, Henry, Walker, White, Patterson, Evans, Olave, Watson, Sutton, Burks. At this moment, right, the assumption is that if there's no Marshawn Lattimore, you play Evans and Watson. At running back, you would play Henry, Mixon, and then you would flex Walker, right? And then the other wide receiver that you would play is between Olave and Sutton and Burks. I'd go with Olave there. Thank you. And then G Squared says, how many teams in from AFC and NFC East you think make the playoffs? That's actually a good question. I'm going to assume that the only teams in the AFC East that make the playoffs are going to be the Bills and the Miami Dolphins. Actually, let me look at the NFL standings right now. Who is going to contest the Jets for an AFC wildcard spot? You know what I mean? Based on overall record, right? The Jets are 7-4. The Chargers would have to contest them. The Bengals and or Ravens, one of those teams would have to contest them. And that's it, right? So how many teams? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, no, those teams would all get in, technically. Right? Because there's 8 teams that go on each side. One team. Wait, no. Is it 8 teams? Let me see here. I don't think it's an even amount because the first place team in each division gets a bye, technically. So 7 teams make it to the playoffs now? So technically, if it's only 7 and we're contesting for that final spot, it's going to probably come down between the Chargers and the Jets as to who gets it. Is this going to load for me? I don't know if it will. Okay, we'll get to that question in a moment. Michael Recor sends it a question. Let's see here, Michael. What did you have said? Actually, Michael, we're going to get to you in a moment. Let me just see what we have here from Jay. Jay says, start flex, pick 1. Standard flex, pick 1. Kamara, Watson, Devonta Smith, or Xavier Knight. I'm probably playing Watson there. I'll probably play Christian Watson, even in a standard format. Standard scoring format, Zeke, Kamara, Jeff Wilson, Keenan Allen, Godwin, or Christian Kirk. We can only play one of these guys. If you're playing in a standard format, Zeke's probably the safest option considering how much touchdown upside, but otherwise I think I'd rather play Godwin. That's kind of the mindset that I'm in. I think actually, if you're playing in a standard, you kind of have to play Zeke because even if Chris Godwin catches the ball 10 times, it's not going to matter unless he falls into the end zone. Therefore, you're probably in a position where you have to play either Zeke or Christian Kirk, and I'd just rather play the safety of Zeke there. Christian Watson or Chris Godwin in the flex, I'll take Chris Godwin. Half PPR, Garrett Wilson, Lockett, Brian Robinson, Mike Williams, or Pacheco. Garrett Wilson is the first and foremost of the group there, Caesar. Thank you. Ryan says, just joined. What do you think about James Cook? I mean, at this point, it doesn't, I mean, there was a lot of that game, especially early in that game, where Devin Singletary is sitting on the sidelines. So if they continue to utilize him at the capacity at which they are, eventually he's going to take over. I mean, that was the expectation in the offseason, was that he's probably going to take over earlier than we anticipate. Obviously, that wasn't the case. But just like every season, that late rookie push eventually is going to catch up here. It looked pretty good, and the utilization in the receiving game is the biggest difference maker there in terms of his fantasy potential upside going forward. Okay, Michael Record says, Burks, Zay Jones, DPJ, or Pittman in the flex this week. I'm already starting Christian Watson and Jamar Chase. I also have Slayton as a solid flex, where my starters are Diggs and Higgins. Also, here's the thing about Slayton. Slayton is dealing with an illness. We're going to have to monitor that and see if he even practices this week as to whether or not he could potentially even be a flex play for you in the given week there, Michael. As for your prior question, Zay Jones, Burks, DPJ, and Pittman, I'm fairly certain I'm playing Zay Jones out of that group. Thank you. And then we had Who Cares sends in a question, says Atlanta, LA, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Green Bay, Las Vegas, LA Chargers. Which defenses do I stash? I don't really have a Green Bay. I stash Green Bay there, and I play Green Bay in Week 15 in the fantasy playoffs against the LA Rams. Outside of them, I don't really think anybody else here is technically a stash. I don't mind the LA Chargers in weeks 16 and 17 either. But yeah, those would be the only potential stashes. Otherwise, you got to try to get Tennessee and or Kansas City on roster. Kansas City is the most valuable defense for the fantasy playoffs this year. Again, guys, the video that I posted earlier today, that is literally this thumbnail right here, to the bottom right, will give you guys a little bit more indication as to why that's the case. But yeah, Kansas City is the most valuable defense for fantasy, playoff purposes. Thank you. Let's see here. We had Nicholas Filpo sends in a question. Let me see here, Nicholas. Where art thou? Filpo. No question from Filpo. Okay, very well. I'll just wait until you send one in. Appreciate it. BZ always with the obligatory supportive comment. Hey, listen, BZ, I always see you in the comment section. I appreciate that, my man. Thank you. Let's see here. Pacheco, Rashad White, Zay Jones, Latavius Murray from TJ Walker. Pacheco, Rashad White, Zay Jones, Latavius Murray. In a PPR scoring format, I'd rather play Zay Jones over the entire group, actually. Like, without even a doubt. Oh, there's Nicholas. There we go. Philpo says, pick one. Okay, so one running back, two flex, Cordero Patterson, Keenan Allen, Olave, Brian Robinson, Jeff Wilson Jr. Yeah, I'll take Brian Robinson as your running back, and the two flex options will be Keenan Allen, and then I'll follow that up with most likely playing... Yeah, I'll probably play Olave in conjunction with him. Thank you. Let's see here. Hello, Andrew. Play two in a full PPR. Cordero Patterson, Knight, White, Mostert, Swift. Thank you. At this moment, it's probably... Cordero Patterson is the only one that I'm 100% sure of. Because I want to play Rashad White, right? But the issue is I don't know what I'm going to get out of him as of this week. So I think your safest plays are probably these two going into this week, Jersey. Which is kind of crazy, huh? You're going to have to play a rookie running back that just had 1 week of play. Again, that's under the assumption that, of course, Michael Carter isn't ready to go this week. Let's see here. Do I start Olave or Chase? I'd much rather play Chase. All right, let's see here. Who cares says, we did this question. Yeah, so Green Bay is a stash, and so is the LA Chargers technically. But again, they're not the greatest defenses that you could possibly get to. Do I start Zay Jones or Deontay Johnson this week? Yeah, I'd rather play Zay Jones. Both really have good matchups. Yeah. It's just purely a matter of target opportunity that leans in the direction of Zay Jones, which gives him, the nod for my direction. Shavon says, Pickens, Rashad White, Devonta Smith. We have Treylon Burks, flex spot, full PPR, 10-team league. Who do I start? If I'm starting only one of these players, I'll play Pickens out of the group. Alan says 10-team PPR, Rashad White, Lenny, Pacheco, Knight. At this point, not even joking, I think you play both the Tampa Bay backs, Alan, and you just roll with it. I'm not even joking. Let's see here. Who cares says Campbell, DPJ, White, Treylon, Madison, Warren. Drop. Who to pick up off waivers? Out of the group, who am I picking up off waivers? I don't know if that's actually the question. Because drop who to pick up off waivers? I understand what you're saying. You're talking about in regards to the defensive potential stashes, right? Okay, so if we're dropping a player to pick them up, at this point, if that's what your bench looks like, I'm dropping Campbell and moving forward. Thank you. Jimmy G or Lamar this week? I'll take Lamar. Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out rest of season? Neither. Could we go with? I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm just not. I don't know. I ate some salmon and rice earlier. I'm full. I'm not dealing. I'm not even thinking about food at the moment, which is kind of crazy because Andrew's typically always thinking about food. But I don't know. Typically, I'd probably just go for In-N-Out because it's I guess everywhere on quite literally every corner. You missed my question in the super chat. Should I drop someone for Boyd? Here's the thing, Troy. You always send in super chats, but they never have messages attached. So it's always a absolute mess to try to find your questions. Because I know you sent in a bunch of questions, but like, yo, I can't keep trying to like find them. It is really. Let's see here. Where are we at? I don't see anything. Troy, what is this? Because I don't, yeah. Troy, you're gonna have to give me the full context again because now I've lost it all because it's updated all the way up the list, my man. Thank you. Lamar got injured today. Why am I hearing this now? Lamar got injured today? In what capacity? All right, let's go ahead. Let's venture off into the news world. Where are we at here? Where is the news? Where's the Lamar news? I don't see any Lamar news. Why? I mean, we might have to time some people out for giving me false information, huh? Is that what we're gonna have to do? Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't see anything about Lamar. Lamar practiced on Thursday. It's officially a quote-unquote full session. The issue forced Jackson from Wednesday's practice. Then he missed the opening minutes of Thursday's session, but eventually made it onto the field. He's clearly not 100. Yeah, I'm still playing Lamar. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. I'm sending it. I don't have any question in my mind as to whether I'm playing Lamar this week. If he was given the full practice designation, he's good for me. Should I trade Tua? I mean, look, again, there's still tomorrow. So that we could get into a situation where maybe he re-aggravates it. If that's the issue, then then we could talk about it. But for right now, I think we're fine. Let's see here. Who's better for the playoffs? Full PPR: DeAndre Swift, Olave, Godwin, or Pittman Jr.? Godwin's the best player out of that bunch by a significant margin. Deontay Johnson or Pickens? I'll take Pickens rest of the season. Had a quad yesterday. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that, Wood. Dre Play says, I'm struggling at my wide receiver too. I'm currently rocking Boyd or DeAndre Carter this week. Okay. My running backs are Henry, McCaffrey, Etienne, Pacheco, Rashad White. I've gotten two offers. Etienne for Kirk or Godwin. Interesting. Or Pacheco for Burks. Should I take either of them? I mean, considering your running back depth at this moment, I want to. Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. If it's a full PPR scoring format, I'd actually highly consider taking Godwin for ETN. Just to ensure that wide receiver 2 spot, but then it opens up your flex spot to a lot of questions, right? In terms of what you're going to fill there in comparison to just having ETN ready to go. So as of right now, if we're just not making any moves, assuming it's a full PPR, if it's a full PPR, I think I'm considering making that trade. If it's not, I would probably roll with DeAndre Carter under the assumption that Mike Williams doesn't play tonight or on Sunday night. Okay, let's see here. Lil Boy Blue, where's your question, my man? Where art thou? Troy says, Pittman, Debo, Sutton, DJ Moore, Palmer, Zay Jones. Okay, so are we dropping any of these guys for Boyd? Was the primary question, correct, Troy? So if that's the case, I would probably drop none of these guys, to be honest. Unless if you're playing in a 1 QB league, you drop Watson and you just go pick up Boyd, because I don't think you need Watson unless you're just trying to hold him on roster to avoid from someone else in your league from getting him. You know what I mean? Should I start Justin Fields, Watson, or Brady, says Steven George? Yeah, I'd go with Justin Fields there. Zay Jones or Evans? Evans will only be suggested to you as a sit if, in fact, Marshawn Lattimore is active. If Marshawn Lattimore is playing this week, I will avoid Evans at all costs, and I would play Zay Jones. Otherwise, I'd play Evans if there's no Marshawn Lattimore lining up across from him in that Saints game. Start Tua against the 49ers or Watson against the Texans. I'll take Tua against the 49ers. Lamar good. He practiced fully. Needs breaks. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Manny says, hey, Andrew, full PPR, pick 2, Watson, Lockett, Pittman, DPJ, Knight. Yeah, I'll play Watson and Lockett this week. Thank you. Is Christian McCaffrey going to be limited, you think? I mean, the report that I read earlier today is that he should be at a full capacity in week 13. So that's what I'm expecting to see. As for your follow-up question, same question for Jamar Chase. I have read the transcript as to the interview that Jamar Chase gave earlier this week in terms of what his entire injury was. I'm far more inclined to believe that Jamar will be limited in comparison to Christian McCaffrey this week. Thank you. All right, a couple more questions that were sent in. We're going to get to that in just a moment. Let's see here. Where were they sent in from? So we had Little Boy Blue we'll get to in a moment, but Chris All In sent in a couple super chats. Thank you very much, Chris. Chris, I appreciate that. Pick one full PPR: Patterson, Fournette, Jalen Warren, Kieran Williams, Treylon Burks. Okay, out of the group, as of right now, if we get a confirmation, okay, that Najee Harris and Benny Snell are both out, because I know Benny Snell is dealing with a knee, Jalen Warren will get the start. Otherwise, it's most likely Cordell Patterson this week against Pittsburgh. Follow up. Also on waiver, we have Brian Robinson. Okay, if Brian Robinson's available, I drop Kieran Williams and immediately pick him up, without a doubt in my mind. And I would play him over the bunch of players you have there, Chris. Thank you. Chris Allen says full PPR, Browns or the Bucks defense this week. Do I add Brian Robinson or Bam Knight instead of Kieran Williams? Yes, you should absolutely add Brian Robinson instead of Kieran Williams. And then I'm actually kind of considering picking up Bam Knight, Zonovan Knight, instead of Jalen Warren, if in fact we see either Najee Harris practice tomorrow. If not, then at that point you just keep Warren and then, continue on. But tomorrow will be the determining factor for that Warren pickup. As for the Bucks and or Browns defense, I know somebody was asking for kicker and defensive rankings. Again, we're still on Thursday, but we'll go ahead and throw them out there just so you guys have an idea as to where I'm kind of leaning. In terms of defensive rankings this week, I have it number one. Number one defense is the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2, Dallas Cowboys. Number 3, Buffalo Bills. Number 4, Seattle Seahawks. Number 5, New York Jets. Number 6, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 7, Cleveland Browns. Number 8, Philadelphia Eagles. Number 9, San Francisco 49ers. Number 10, Pittsburgh Steelers. So at that point, we would rather play Buccaneers over the Browns defense in the given week for your question. Thank you. All right, Little Boy Blue, where is your question, my man? Where art thou? Actually, while we're here, let's just get to Kevin Smith's question. Kevin Smith says, PPR, I need 2. Kittle, Pittman, Sutton, Burks, Schultz. Schultz is an automatic. I think the only other, I kind of want to play Kittle there under the assumption that Debo is going to be limited capacity. So I'm leaning, you know what? I would. I'll play Kittle and I'll play Schultz and I'll fire them both up there. I'm stacked at running back with Jonathan Taylor, JT, and Barkley. Burrow at quarterback, Tucker at kicker. Yeah, you're good to go there. As of right now, if you need 2 options, I'm going Kittle and Schultz, and I'm firing that up, and I'm not even regretting any sort of capacity there. Lockett or Pickett this week? Pickens, I'll take Lockett. PPR, JT or K9, I'll take JT this week, Constantino. Anonymous says, I dropped James Cook and Flex McKenzie this game. Oh, yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough. He got 6.9. Yeah, nice. Noah says 5-7 record, win or go home, full PPR. Burrow, JT, Jeff Wilson Jr., Godwin, Kirk, Kelsey, Watson. Should I look to make any trades? If I'm ever looking to make trades, I would be trading away Jeff Wilson Jr. to bring in somebody else at running back. In specific, who am I looking for? Let's see here. If in some way you could go ahead and manage to bring in anybody in the realm of possibility of a David Montgomery, Jamal Williams, Zeke Elliott, I think those are, there's no way you're bringing in any of these other guys at the top conversation. So those are the middle of the pack guys that maybe you could trade for that are significantly better options in this given week in comparison to him, considering you're in a win or go home scenario. Thank you. Let's see here. Little Boy says, hey, Andrew, should I trade Pacheco for DJ Moore? Interesting. Okay, let me hear more. I need a flex this week with potential Mike Williams being out. I have an option to pick up DeAndre Carter if Mike Williams doesn't go. If you're in a win to get in kind of scenario, I think it's just probably safer in your position to just roll with Pacheco once again this week and then evaluate the trade next week and make it at that point if in fact you don't need running back depth. But if you're going to win to get in and then keep moving, Pacheco week 15, Houston matchup, I want to keep him on roster as much as I like DJ Moore for the remainder of the season. Jackson or Fields, I'll take Fields this week. Pittman or Zay Jones. In a PPR, I'm leaning towards Zay Jones. Flex 1, Pierce, Sutton, Brian Robinson, Warren, Zay Jones. I'll take Brian Robinson out. Brian Robinson out of the group. Assuming that Antonio Gibson is out. Outside of that, it'll probably be Pierce at that point. Zay Jones, Pacheco, Jeff Wilson, 12-team full PPR. Give me Zay Jones there. Thank you. Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, best to worst for the remainder of the season, I'm assuming, because, again, Kyler Murray's not playing this week. I would say Dak number 1, Kyler number 2, Deshaun Watson number 3 for the remainder of the season. Jet says, I need a flex in a 10-team full PPR league. I have Rashad White, Lazard, DeAndre Swift, and Njoku. Njoku's dealing with an injury. Rashad White has himself a little bit of a tricky situation there. Lazard hasn't been anything as of late, and DeAndre Swift is also in a tricky situation. If I had to pick one out of the bunch, I'd play Rashad White. Thank you. Pittman or Kittle? Pittman or Kittle? Yeah, it's Kittle for me. Should I trade Tua and Mike Williams for Chase? If you don't need the quarterback, if you don't need the quarterback, I would. Like, if your next best quarterback is Dak, yes, I would absolutely make that trade. If your best quarterback after the fact is like even Geno Smith, I'm willing to make that trade. Appreciate it. Is it time to let go of Gabe Davis? I mean, I think many of you witnessed the fact that I didn't even have him ranked in my top 36. I'm already kind of leaning towards the idea that Gabe Davis needs to be benched permanently until we can see some semblance of consistency, because it's real bad. So is it time to let him go? Maybe not, but I guess you could prepare to pick up other options in comparison for the remainder of the season. Need a pair. Need one to pair with Mixon in a standard. We have Swift, Pacheco, Brian Robinson on PPR. I'll take Brian Robinson there. If Antonio Gibson, even if Antonio Gibson does play, I'll still play Brian Robinson out of the group there. Would thank you. All right, so after we had Jorge Perez send in a question. Let me see Jorge. Jorge Perez says, full PPR. Brady, a good start. I think we already did this one. Did you have another question, Jorge? You did. All right. I need help with the tight end. I have Moreau. Can pick up Everett Dulcich? Okay, cool. You know, the thing about Greg Dulcich is that he had a touchdown call back last week. Otherwise, he was going to be a 10-point play. Kind of unfortunate. It was like a 30-yard passing touchdown, too. Okay, picked up the Browns. Okay, cool. So, of the group of tight ends that you're mentioning, as of specifically for this week, I have Foster Moreau 7, Cole Kmet 8. Who else did you mention? You have Dulcich and Thomas. Wait, what does that say? Okay, and then Hooper. Okay, yeah. Now, at this point, of all those options, I have Foster Moreau the highest ranked, and then Cole Kmet second highest ranked. So if you have Foster Moreau, you're good to go. Just keep it rolling, my man. Thank you. All right, Mario sends in a super chat. Thank you very much, Mario. Appreciate that. Says, let's see here. 5. Okay, interesting. So the picks that we gave on Sunday worked, huh? Interesting. Okay. Because of Jacob's overtime touchdown. Pick 5 teams that are going to win in week 13 from Mario. Okay, so that's the primary question here. So let's look at this NFL schedule, shall we? If I was to pick, I mean, again, it's technically early, but if I think I got a pretty good track on as to what I'm going to do here. So if we're picking teams to just straight up win this week, ooh, baby. This is one of the tougher weeks to potentially do it, to be honest. I'm actually looking at all these matchups. Okay, so for sure the Ravens are going to beat the Broncos. That's a given. The Seahawks are going to beat the Rams. That's 2. The Cowboys are going to beat the Colts. That's 3. I will take... I'll take the Bengals beating the Chiefs. That's 4, and that's as much as I'm comfortable with. Those are what I'll take right now. Yes, I'm willing to take the Bengals over the Chiefs. I honestly think that they're the Bengals are somehow, some way the Chiefs' kryptonite for some reason. Thank you, Mario. White Boy sends in a question, says DeAndre Carter or Ty Johnson this week. DeAndre Carter would be the suggestion, again, assuming Mike Williams is out. And then the follow-up there is Fields or Trevor Lawrence. I have Fields ahead of Trevor Lawrence this week. Thank you. Sip says full PPR, pick 2. Watson, Slayton, Montgomery, Zonovan. Yeah, it's Watson and Montgomery there. Thank you. Kevin Smith says, can only play 1 tight end from previous. Okay, cool. So, and still need 1 wide receiver. Got it. So, of the available, goodness gracious. If I'm only playing 1 tight end in a full PPR there, man, they play against Miami, though. I think I still have to play Kittle. And then I would just, at that point, play Pittman as the wide receiver. Thank you. That's rough, man. Do I want to? Yeah, I don't know. For right now, it's tough. Because touchdown upside is certainly going to be there for both those potential tight end options. I'd love to play them both. But yeah, for right now, I'll play Kittle against Miami. It's just a significantly better matchup. Matthew sends in a question, says, love the stuff. Watson or Fields this week? I'll go with Fields this week. Yeah. But by a significant margin, I feel that much more confident in Fields. Thank you. Stephen Maxwell says, should I start Brady or Watson? I think it's probably safer to just roll with Brady. I have Watson slightly ahead of him in my rankings, but I'm beginning to even doubt if that's even a good idea. I think I want to do it more than I actually should. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm more motivated that by the potential of what, Deshaun Watson could be for fantasy purposes, rather than actually thinking about it logically, which is probably why I say the rankings are subject to change as the week progresses. So as of right now, I'm probably saying that Brady's the better option as of this week. Bacon says full PPR. I got offered what does it say? I got offered Godwin and Kenneth Walker. For Kenneth Walker. Interesting. You got offered Godwin for Kenneth Walker. So you have Dalvin Cook, Saquon, Lamb, Ayuk, Burks, Marquise Brown. What do you think about it? Ooh, Dalvin Cook, Saquon, Lamb, Ayuk, Treylon Burks. I don't actually mind it, to be totally honest. I honestly think that Godwin is going to keep his pace. Not in the terms of touchdowns, but in a full PPR, he could probably catch the ball 8-9 times a game for 80-90 yards a game and go 18+ points consistently. Because Mike Evans has pretty much been off the rails as of late, and I don't know if, even if Mike Evans comes back, it's going to be immediate success, right? It's not going to be like every single week he'll be putting dominant points up. Godwin's kind of gotten back to his 2021 self, so I don't mind the trade, to be totally honest. I think in a full PPR it makes sense. Appreciate it. All right, let me scroll to the bottom here. Actually, you know what? Let me scroll back up a little bit here. I appreciate that, Constantino. All right, so we had Site say full PPR pick 2, Fournette, Swift, Pacheco, Pierce. I'll take Pacheco and Pierce there. Zeke or Montgomery? Who do I start in the flex this week? I'm leaning towards Montgomery, but I kind of want to play them both. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Montgomery this week. Full PPR, do I flex Gibson, Burks, or Sutton? It's probably going to be Burks at the moment. Yeah, it's probably going to be Burks. Traded away Olave and Gabe Davis for T. Higgins. How do you feel about that? 1,000% thumbs up. W trade. 5-star Dilly says, to be fair, Josh Allen overthrew Davis for 2 touchdowns. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But again, it is tough, man. It is tough. That's the thing. As many times as, we'll look at plays and stuff is called back or they're just barely out of the fingertips of a player, it does make a difference whether they catch those touchdowns or not in the grand scheme of it. And, a couple missed plays here and there are enough to convince me that maybe they won't get back on track fully. You know what I mean? Sort of a loaded question. Would you consider trading Pollard and Jeff Wilson Jr. for JT and possibly another guy? Yes, automatically. Yes. I have Eckler, and I'm the number 1 seed. I don't like Pollard and Jeff Wilson Jr.'s playoff schedule. Need some advice. Yes, I would make that trade. As long as the secondary player that you bring in at least can some way minorly contribute to your team, I'll take the deal. Would you trade away Jamar Chase, Juju Smith, and one of Pacheco, Zeke, and Brian Robinson for just Christian McCaffrey? Absolutely not. No way. I would much rather, MA, keep the team that you have on roster. I mean, if you're going to trade for Christian McCaffrey, what all it should really take is Jamar Chase in exchange for him. If not Jamar Chase and Pacheco, you shouldn't have to be giving Chase, Juju, and one of those running backs. That doesn't line up in my mind. Tom Foolery specifically says, I'm so done with the Patriots offense. Yeah. That's what happens when your offensive coordinator is Matt Patricia, quite literally. And your quarterback's coach is Joe Judge. Guys that have been defensive coordinators and special team coordinators their entire careers. And, maybe not their entire careers, but as of late in the NFL, that has been their primary coaching interest. And you can tell that they're not an offensive-minded team because they don't have an offensive coordinator that is actually, relevant on roster, unfortunately. I have the Cowboys and Ravens defense this week. Is there a safer option here? Yeah, I think that there is a safer option in playing Baltimore's defense. Over the course of the last 6 weeks, similar to what I mentioned in this video, if you guys haven't checked out my fantasy playoffs video, be sure to do so. The Denver Broncos in the last 6 weeks have been the lowest scoring team in the National Football League. They have only scored 66 points as an offense. So as a whole, I am believing that it's probably the safer option to just play up against the Denver Broncos defense that is just, I mean, Denver Broncos offense that is just awful. Appreciate it. Thank you. Let me see here. Is there anything? Okay, cool. We're good to go there. Awesome. 6 point per passing touchdown. Fields, Watson, Brady. I'll take Fields still. Thank you. PPR start one. Olave, Pierce, Mike Williams. I don't know if Mike Williams is going to play. And even if he does, I don't trust it to an extent. I think I'm leaning towards Pierce at the moment. Let's see here. Colts upset alert. Who do they play this week again? They play against the Cowboys. I mean, hey, if they do it, by all means, that'd be fantastic. Listen, I'm always up for a good game. Don't get me wrong. When I make a prediction, it's just basically on the point of, hey, Matt Ryan sucks, you know? And I'm pretty sure that the Dallas Cowboys defense can expose that. But if he wants to play better than he typically does, hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it because it only helps for fantasy purposes. Any moves I should make? I'm the first place team, 12-team PPR league. Hurts, Hill, AJ Brown, Pittman, Eckler, Monty, Moreau, Waller on IR, Pollard. My bench is Palmer, Jeff Mason, and Josh Kelly. I mean, you pretty much ensured that you have your potential handcuff ready to go. As for what you do in terms of potential trades, I mean, again, this video right here. I'm telling you, man, this video right here can kind of set you up for an idea as to what kind of trades you could potentially want to make. Thank you. All right, let me see here. What's going on? What do you think about James Cook moving forward? Probably should be rostered. Again, besides the fact that he's a handcuff, the fact that he's getting more touches than Singletary now, over the course of the last couple of weeks, he's beginning to ramp up in the direction where they want to run him more, and they're obviously mounting early leads in some of these games and not really scoring much in the second half. If they're going to continue to run with him in a lot of scenarios, it could be a pretty valuable play going forward. Lamar or Watson this week? Gohan, I'm going to play Lamar this week. Thank you. Rodgers or Jimmy G this week? Let me see here. Where's my rankings for today? Nope, that's not it. Where's my Patreon rankings? Nope, that's not it either. Where is my file? Okay, there it is. As of right now, I have Aaron Rodgers at number 14 and Jimmy G at 15 this week in a 4 point per passing touchdown format. So Aaron Rodgers is the higher ranked quarterback. Thank you. Jelani Woods or Dulcich? Let's see here. Who do I have ranked higher? I have Jelani Woods at 17. I have Greg Dulcich at 14. Could change by the time the week progresses, but as of right now, I'd like to see multiple weeks of Jelani Woods before I can 100% buy in on the idea of starting him. But then again, Greg Dulcich has been nothing, right? He's been 0 points the last couple weeks here. He did have a touchdown called back, but again, it's a pipe dream. I don't mind it if you play Jelani Woods. Tight end is such a volatile position that, quite frankly, outside of the top 5, the rest is just a coin toss. You know what I mean? Should I stay with Cleveland's defense or go pick up Seattle? I'd rather play Seattle. I think there's a higher likelihood of I think there's a higher likelihood that Houston has a far better offense than the LA Rams this week. John, what's up? Greetings and salutations. Hope you're doing well. Sleazy says, half PPR, Tua, Daniel Jones. Wait, where did it go? On waivers, or just risk it with Deshaun Watson? No, I'd rather play Tua. I'd rather just play Tua this week. I'm not risking it with Deshaun Watson there. Lazard or Palmer? In a standard, I'll play Palmer this week. Andrew, love the graphics. But my fave is the neon cursive from 2 years ago. Neon cursive? Wait, what are we talking about? 2 years ago or last season? I think you mean last season, right? I mean, I don't even remember, man. The graphics that I mean, holy moly. Let me, I'm actually curious. The neon cursive, huh? Because last year we had all neon. Yeah, that was last season. Okay, yeah, I think that's what you're referring to. Because the year prior to that, it was definitely not neon. It was kind of the outer space one. Yeah. Okay, we're chilling. Thank you. Appreciate the compliments, though. Have Tyler Higbee. Is he unplayable? Yes, he didn't run a single route on Sunday. He literally reported as an ineligible receiver for the entire game. So do that as you will. Fant or Logan Thomas this week? I'd rather have Fant. Thank you. I traded away Ramondre Stevenson for Pittman earlier this season. Massive L. Yeah, that sucks. Pierce or ETN in the flex? I'll take ETN there. Pick 2 half PPR. Swift, Rashad White, Christian Watson. I'll take Rashad White and I'll take Christian Watson as of right now. Which defense this week? Chiefs, Vikings, Eagles. I'll take the Eagles out of that bunch. Do I start DPJ or go to the waivers for someone else? I would play DPJ only if, well, okay, what's available on your waivers, actually? Because some of you guys have some studs on the waivers, so I don't want to overlook that. Witcher was saying, said the super chat earlier, needed more info. Okay, cool. My other RB are Mixon, Barkley, and Pierce. My other wide receivers are Waddle, Lamb, and Hopkins. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me go back up there really quickly. So we need to get back up to Witcher's question because, yes, I did ask for more context, and now that we have it, we're in a good spot. So Witcher says, give St. Brown and Andrews for Derrick Henry, right? So for more context, you have Mixon, Barkley, and Pierce. Your other wide receivers are Waddle, Lamb, Hopkins. Wow. And you have Freiermuth. I think I'll take it. I think I'm, oh man. Yikes. In a full PPR, giving him Ray, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Andrews is... Yeah, this is my idea, Witcher. You make this trade and then you move and sell Barkley and Pierce. I think that's what I want to do. But I think I make the trade because I think, I mean, truly, Derrick Henry goes off in weeks 15 and 16 and probably gets you to the fantasy championships based on what else you have on roster. So I'll take it. Just curious, why is Deshaun Watson rated so low? Wasn't he fantasy beast 2 years ago? Yes, exactly. The point is, it was 2 years ago. I mean, you've kind of answered your own question by proxy of asking the question, right? Which, again, you were out of pure curiosity, but I think it's hilarious because, like, that's the point, right? We're expecting there to be a lot of, like, mechanical kind of getting used to being in a full speed football game. Now, I understand that he has been a quarterback his whole career, and there's nothing that he's probably better at in life than playing quarterback. But at this moment, there's a little bit of hesitation because when you're coming off of a, year and a half stint of not playing football, even more, it's probably like 2 years now, of not playing, full capacity NFL starting football. It will take a little bit of an adjustment period, especially when he's associated with an offense that is going to run the ball as much as they do with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and they play against Houston, which is one of the worst run-stopping defenses. There's more of a hesitation as to whether or not he'll score enough fantasy points because Nick Chubb will be dominating so much for majority of this game. Like, he's going to play, decently well. I'm not questioning that. It's just a matter of, like, can he score more points than Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson? Relatively unlikely that he runs with his legs as much or even passes as many touchdowns as those two in this given week. Appreciate it. Barkley or Wilson? Barkley or Wilson? Is this Jeff Wilson? I'd rather have Barkley this week. Thank you. Which QB do I start in a must-win week? Watson, Lawrence, or Geno Smith? As of this moment, just to give you some transparency, I have Geno Smith ranked 11 and Trevor Lawrence ranked 10 and Deshaun Watson ranked 13. So I'll take Trevor Lawrence out of the group. Literally everyone expects Deshaun Watson to be top 8 to 16. Yeah, I mean, I have him at 14? So yeah, I mean, wait, where is it? 13. So I mean, he's in the realm of possibility. Again, out of all quarterbacks in probably the last, 5, 6? No, it's probably not 5. Probably like 4 or 5 seasons. He has the second highest point per game average, only behind Patrick Mahomes, right? So he's in that conversation for a reason, right? He used to be a good player. Let's just hope that he's somewhere close to it. Trade Kelsey for Ramondre and T. Higgins. My RB2 is Jeff Wilson, and my other wide receivers are Godwin, Kirk, and Watson. I don't think you need to make that trade, but I think it helps. At the moment, I think it definitely helps your team as a whole. But here's the thing, right? Like, can you start all 4 of these receiving options? Because if you can't, then what's the point? You're just bringing in Ramondre for Kelsey. And I'd just rather have Kelsey at that point. Do you know what I mean? Njoku, Komet, or Conklin this week. I have Komet ranked highest because Njoku hasn't practiced this week already. He's dealing with a bunch of injuries. I like the holiday graphics you had like 3 years ago. Big, why you gotta spoil my future plans? Yes, don't worry. When the we used to do a lot of like Turkey Day stuff, but I will definitely have some Christmas related Santa hat wearing players on screen. That is for sure. That is for sure. Thank you. What do you think about James Cook? Should be on roster. Again, if he's not just a handcuff, he's a handcuff that has extra upside, right? Which we obviously want to keep in mind when approaching the potential future of some of the games that the the Buffalo Bills are taking on. So he played well. Obviously, Nyheim Hines is more of a special teams guy and more of a distractionary piece than we anticipated when that trade happened. But at this point, James Cook looks like he could slowly but surely take that job. Deshaun Watson is going to make people miss the playoffs. You're probably not wrong, Mario. He actually could probably be an absolute disaster in fantasy, and it would be hilarious. Now, I laugh because, again, fantasy is just, it is a joke at times because some things that you expect to happen don't happen. Like, you would expect that Deshaun Watson could be a good football player again. He could come out, he could be the worst $250 million investment of all time, right? But I think, as of right now, Russell Wilson kind of owns claim to that idea. Let's see here. Noel says, PrizePicks employee here. Hey, Abbott, what's up? How's it going? Says, just here showing some support for some of our partners. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hey, while we're on the topic, if you guys haven't yet already, check out PrizePicks. Again, earlier today, your boy made a couple potential entries. As of late, the NBA has treated me a lot better in terms of my potential entries in the given week. So if you guys haven't checked that out, there's a link down in the description in terms of if you go ahead and sign up today using promo code Andrew and make a first-time deposit, that first-time deposit is immediately doubled up to $100. You can go ahead, put in some entries, picking more or less on a given player statistic, and go ahead and play daily fantasy today. Thank you very much. Thanks for stopping by, Noel. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Watson used to be a top 3. Yeah, listen, I know, but I think Fields is probably Fields won't be able to drop the shoulder. The lucky thing is for Fields is he doesn't have to drop the shoulder to be relevant. That's the thing. He can always glide into the end zone because of how fast he is. Garrett Wilson or Barkley this week in a full PPR. I honestly think I'm taking Garrett Wilson there. Typically, I would say start your stud, but I think Garrett Wilson is a stud in this current capacity. DPJ, Nico Collins, Corey Davis, or Mac Hollins. Interesting. DPJ, Nico Collins, Corey Davis, or Mac Hollins. Of the group of players as it currently stands, DPJ is probably the guy. And then after that, probably would lean towards Corey Davis. Thank you. All right, there were a couple super chats that were sent in. Just want to address them really quickly. Appreciate you guys doing so. We had Steven Maxwell says, which defense this week, Cleveland or Tampa Bay? I have Tampa Bay ahead of Cleveland, just slightly, one spot ahead of them. Chris All-In says, pick one. Mike Evans or Treylon Burks. Again, if that's under the assumption that Marshawn Lattimore doesn't play, then I would play Mike Evans. Otherwise, I'm playing Treylon Burks. Also, what do I have on waiver? Nico Collins, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, and Marquise Goodwin. Oof. So we don't really have much on waivers, huh? So at this point, yeah, I just keep what you have. Pick up Brian Robinson. You're good to go there. Appreciate that, Chris. Thank you. The $250 million. I mean, yes, true and real. Ramondre SMH. I mean, listen, he got his receptions. Unfortunately, didn't find the end zone. I mean, again, I wouldn't even. I mean, Ramondre fumbling that pass. I didn't even look like he was going out to run the ball on that fourth and what was it? Fourth and one? I don't remember. It looked like he was just going immediately to pass block. So I don't know what kind of miscommunication they've had. But again, that offense is a mess. We know that, but it's okay. Andrew, which NBA teams do you follow? Primarily, I kind of just follow the whole league. When there isn't fantasy football to be participated in, I'm usually watching an NBA game. Like specifically, let me see here. Like the ones that I was following yesterday, or not even just yesterday, but look, my first passion was basketball in life, and then it eventually transitioned to football, slowly but surely, right? But dude, I'm such a big NBA fan, it's not even close, man. Let me see here. Where was my entries the other night? Where are we at? Aha, this is it. Let me go ahead. Let me move that up there and see what I can do in terms of, where's my display capture? Display capture is there. So let's go ahead and move this sucker down here. Alrighty, let's move some stuff around. Boom. Bang. Okay, so this is what your boy was dealing with literally just the other night, okay? So maybe I make it smaller. So on PrizePicks, right? I don't know if you guys have seen their tacos, right? On Taco Tuesday, right? They have it so where a specific player has a lower, they don't need the higher capacity of fan, or of total points, or technically that number, right? So they kind of like discount it to give you an advantage if you want to pick more or less, specifically more on that number, right? So Jeremy Grant has been absolutely balling out as of late for the Portland Trailblazers. So I was like, all right, we're taking that. I like Reggie Jackson mainly because he's one of the best, scoring guards that kind of isn't respected in the league, in my mind. I mean, I think back to a couple years ago, Western Conference Finals against the Suns, the dude was balling out either way. And then obviously Jaren Jackson wanted to, pull my leg the other day. But hey, we still managed to come out with a W here, mainly because I knew that my luck wasn't going to completely be there, even though both Jamal Murray and Kyrie were playing well enough to where they could. But at the time, I was like, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and just in case, take the little insurance on it. If in fact it doesn't bode well for me, I'll still get my money back plus a little bit extra. You know what I mean? But yeah, again, if you guys are questioning where that's from PrizePicks. You can check that out today. There's a link in the description. Thank you. We had a couple questions sent in. Mike Koch says, full PPR, is Warren better than Snell? Yes, he's better than Snell, or at least the team trusts him more. And, to be honest, any running back in this offense that is given a streamlined amount of carries, and specifically goal line work, will be better than, a lot of other backs in the league, specifically taking on the Atlanta Falcons. I mentioned it on Tuesday's video. The last three starting running backs that have taken on Atlanta have all scored 19 or more half PPR fantasy points. So, if Warren's ready to go, which he should be good. Pickens or Palmer this week, I think I'm still playing Pickens against Atlanta. I think Palmer is a fantastic play under the assumption that Mike Williams is inactive. Otherwise, he's probably not as, high capacity as we'd like him to be, or upside as we'd like him to be. Let's see here. Noel's even saying, join the PrizePicks Discord. Keep updated with all the promos. Yeah, there you go. If you guys are interested, you guys can join their Discord channel. Let's see. You mind starting Lazard this week? Says Michael. Starting Lazard this week, I'm probably not gonna do. Yeah, it's not interesting to me at that capacity. I'm not too interested there. Jay says, long time watcher, I traded Tyler Lockett for Amari Cooper into PPR. Okay move or nah? I think it's okay. I mean, could it be a complete mess? Absolutely. Could it be perfectly fine? Yes. I think that, yes, Jacoby Brissett has played really well. But eventually, in a couple weeks after we kind of get a little bit of the dust off of Deshaun Watson, he'll be able to help Amari Cooper be in that top 12 conversation as we continue here. What is this, Jane? I'm calling from the Fantasy Bureau of Investigations. That's actually a good one. I like that. Jake Thompson, thank you very much. Says pick 2. We have Jeff Wilson Jr., Evans, Elijah Moore, DeAndre Carter. Also, Mike White or Jimmy G. I'll take Jimmy G this week over Mike White. Lastly, Jets or Niners defense. I have the Jets defense ahead of the Niners. On the cusp of the playoffs, I hate this team now. At this point, of the available players that you have to pick 2 from, of these 4, Evans would get the autumn. It's probably Evans and Jeff Wilson, probably. Yeah, those are the safest options. If Marshawn Lattimore shows up, I'd probably play DeAndre Carter over Evans. Thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, as for somebody, whoever was asking me earlier, what NBA teams I follow, I literally follow every NBA team. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, obviously, I would hope that the LA Lakers could be great, but I mean, it don't look like they're going to be good anytime soon. Let's just be honest here. It's not worth it. All right, guys, I'm going to answer a couple more questions here. We've been here since about 8:15. So probably in about 4 minutes here, we're going to close out after, an hour and a half stream. We'll be back on Saturday afternoon, 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll also be here once again on Sunday morning with updated rankings to answer all your questions. We'll have a video out tomorrow, so I appreciate that. Should I start one wide receiver from the waiver instead of Burks or Evans? No. You're fine. You're good. Play Burks and Evans. The whole reason why I said don't pick up any of those players is because you don't need those guys. Not specifically over Burks or Evans, under the assumption, again, Marshawn Lattimore doesn't play. So you're fine. Hey, Andrew, pick a running back, wide receiver, and a flex in a full PPR. Rashad White, Jeff Wilson, Juju, Pickens, Ayuk. Okay. So of the group, if I have to pick full PPR, one running back, one, okay. I think we're fine there. So at this position, it would probably be Rashad White at running back, Ayuk at wide receiver, Pickens in the flex until I get more of an indication as to what kind of a health capacity Juju is at, because he only played 29% of the snaps last week, and that's kind of a rough spot to even consider playing him in if he's going to be in that range of possibility going against Cincinnati, which would be tough. Leo, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Do you ever do UFC picks? Yes. The last event that I actually made picks on, let me see here. Where's my PrizePicks entries? So the last event was UFC, where did it go? Okay, so it was UFC, the one that had Adesanya in it, okay? So I had specifically, let me show y'all. Okay, I had these two potential entries for that given night. Okay, the first one went really well. Okay, just picking less on both those overall takedowns. If you go to fantasystats.com, you can get a lot of indications as to where specific, statistics are in terms of takedowns, significant strikes, all that kind of stuff. For the history of these, overall fights of their careers, it looked like both those people were not going to be able to get, more than those overall takedowns. And then all I needed, quite literally, was Israel Adesanya to survive for 30 more seconds, and the other one was going to go through. But unfortunately, it didn't go through. It is what it is. We'll take it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the UFC as well. Let's see here. Appreciate the grind. First time playing fantasy. I'm 8-4. Love it from New Zealand. Congratulations. New Zealand is a very beautiful country. I can assure you that. I mean, I'm probably one of the most loyal. The only thing that I associate New Zealand with typically is Lord of the Rings, and forgive me if that's a consistent point that you hear all the time. But hey, man, I'm a Lord of the Rings day one. That stuff is the best. JT or Walker, top 5 kickers and defenses this week. JT or Walker, I'd rather play JT this week. Kickers and defenses. Let's go ahead and mention this, and then we're gonna go ahead and bow out for today's stream. I appreciate you guys coming by today. Of course, supporting the channel. For those of you who sent through a couple super chats, greatly appreciate that. For those of you who clicked the like button today, thank you. We'll be back tomorrow, and of course Saturday and Sunday live streams. We'll be back on the table, that's for sure. Do not worry. Let's go ahead and let's see here. We have Patreon rankings. We had, of course, Baltimore. Okay, so here we go. Top 5 defenses for this week: Baltimore, Dallas, Buffalo, Seattle, New York Jets, Tampa Bay, Cleveland. Hopefully something like that is available. That's top 7. Kickers, we have Tucker, Bass, Myers, Carlson, Butker, Maher, McPherson, Suckup, Cameron Dicker, Robbie Gould, Graham Gano, Matthew Wright. Those are the kind of options that we look for. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring this off screen really quickly. Do appreciate you guys doing all that. We need to make sure we've caught up Jake Thompson. We took care of that. We're good. Jorge Perez, let me go ahead. Make sure we're good to go there. Jorge says, all right, Jorge, where's your question, my man? Jorge says, actually, nothing there. Where's Jorge's question? Jorge says, I need to drop a player to pick up Lawrence. Thinking of dropping Pirine. Is Mixon starting this week? Yes, Mixon's good to go. The only reason he didn't play last week is because he was in concussion protocol. He'll be good to go. You don't got to worry about it. I don't mind dropping him. Again, you probably want to pick him up again for the fantasy playoff stretch, but as right, you should be good to go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, guys, that's going to cover it for me today. I do appreciate y'all coming out. Hopefully, you guys will join us once again for Saturday's stream and or Sunday morning stream. If you guys have not yet already, again, check out the video that I posted earlier today, Fantasy Playoffs Strength of Schedule. It covers weeks 15 through 17 at all primary positions: running back, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, kicker, and defense. Kind of gives you an indication as to where I'm going for the fantasy playoffs, a couple pickups and or potential trades that you can make. Outside of that, again, check out PrizePicks. I do appreciate you guys doing so. When you go ahead and use promo code Andrew when you make a sign up today, and of course make that first time deposit, using promo code Andrew will immediately double your first time deposit up to $100. So check that out today. Have daily fantasy at your fingertips, whether it is the NFL, playing Thursday night matchups, the NBA, UFC, like we were mentioning before. Do appreciate you guys doing that and supporting the channel in that regard. Outside of that, tomorrow we'll be back with another video as we do daily content. And until next time, we're cueing the music, and I'll see you guys. Thank you, and peace.